Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? We're tackling Amazon's brand new Alexa Plus today. Got a whole bunch of articles here, The Verge, Business Insider, even AP News chimed in. And they're all saying this is more than just like little upgrade, this is a total game changer. But is it all hype? Well, let's find out.
Yeah, I mean, the tech world's definitely pretty excited about this one. It seems like Amazon's really trying to tackle like all the things that people have been complaining about with AI assistants. Those moments where they just don't quite get you or they forget stuff you just told them. Alexa Plus is supposed to be like the answer to all that.
Okay, so smarter. Got it. But what does that actually mean? Like, how is this different from just, my regular Alexa?
Well, one of the big things is this context-aware AI. You know how like right now it feels like you're talking to a robot, like it just responds to each thing you say. But with Alexa Plus, say it's supposed to remember what you've already said, so it can have a real conversation.
So it's like it's actually following along, not just reacting to every single word.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to understand like the whole context of what you're talking about. So, for example, if you asked it for a recipe and then later you're like, how long does that bake for? It'll know you're still talking about that same recipe, even if you didn't say it again.
That's pretty cool. I can definitely see how that would make things feel less clunky. But, the thing that always bugs me about AI assistants, their memories are terrible. I feel like I'm always repeating things, like my frequent flyer number or my favorite pizza place. Does Alexa Plus actually fix that?
Apparently, yeah. They're really playing up this whole personalized memory thing. It's supposed to remember all your preferences and like questions you ask a lot, even stuff from documents you upload.
The documents. So, like, if I uploaded a meeting agenda, it could tell me the key points later.
That's what they're saying. And it's not just for work stuff either. Think about it. You could finally store all those loyalty card numbers you always forget. Or even save your favorite restaurant's menu so you can just reorder your usual.
Okay, that would be awesome. I am constantly misplacing things. But even if it remembers everything, I feel like sometimes I'm just drowning in information. All these news sources, social media, notifications, it's like information overload. How does Alexa Plus deal with that?
Well, that's where this For You widget comes in. Basically, instead of throwing everything at you, it's like your personal filter. It figures out what you're interested in and gives you alerts and updates that are actually relevant.
So it's not just about more information, it's about the right information at the right time.
Exactly. Like, think about it. Personalized news based on what you actually read. Shopping deals that are actually for things you like. Alerts for concerts you might want to go to.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that being super useful, especially since I'm always on the go.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, a lot of these articles are talking about this multi-platform accessibility. What does that even mean for Alexa plus Zoo?
So basically, it means you're not stuck with just your Echo at home anymore. You can use Alexa Plus on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever. And it's all supposed to be like one seamless experience.
So I could, like, start something on my phone and then just pick it up on my computer later. No more starting from scratch every time I switch devices.
That's the idea. Imagine you're listening to a podcast on your Echo, then you get in your car and it just keeps playing. It's all about having this like unified digital experience.
Okay, so we've got this context-aware AI, a personalized memory, and it works across all my devices.
Hmm.
It's starting to sound like Amazon's trying to make Alexa Plus like the ultimate personal assistant.
Mhm.
But what about the smart home stuff? Alexa's always been big in that space. What's new with Alexa Plus, Mark?
Well, it seems like it's going beyond just controlling devices. Now it's about like coordinating them in a smart way. It learns your routines and actually automates your home.
So instead of just telling my lights to turn on, it could, like, dim them in the evening for me?
Exactly. And not just lighting. Think about your thermostat adjusting automatically or your security system getting smarter and noticing if something's off. It's about making your home truly smart.
Okay, that sounds pretty amazing. But all this automation and personalization, it means it needs to collect a lot of data, right? What about privacy?
Yeah, you're right to be thinking about that. And it's something these articles definitely address. I mean, people are going to have concerns, but it seems like Amazon's trying to be proactive about it.
Okay, good. Because I know some people are going to be hesitant to share all that personal info, even if it does mean a more convenient experience. So what are they doing to address those concerns?
Well, one thing they're emphasizing is user control over the memory settings. So you can manage what Alexa Plus remembers, you can edit it, you can even delete stuff.
So it's not like they're just, taking all my data and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I have control over what it knows about me.
Right. And they're also talking about better encryption to protect your data and something called transparency reports so you can see how they're using your data.
So it's not just like Alexa's listening to everything and selling your info.
Hmm.
They're actually trying to be transparent about it.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to walk that line between being personalized but also respecting your privacy.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
But with all these fancy features, how does Alexa Plus compare to the competition? I mean, there's Google Assistant, Siri. They're not exactly dummies.
That's a great question. It seems like what Amazon's going for is this like well-roundedness. They're focusing on long-term memory, context, and adaptability. Like the other assistants might be good at certain things, but Alexa Plus is supposed to be good at everything.
So instead of having separate tools for everything, it's like the one tool to rule them all.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. And as AI keeps getting better, who knows what it'll be able to do in the future?
Man, this really makes you think about what life with a truly intelligent AI could be like. But let's get real for a second. What does all this mean for us in our actual lives? How is Alexa Plus actually going to change how we work, live, interact with the world?
Well, I think it's already starting to change things. Think about how we use technology now. We're constantly switching between devices, searching for information, trying to keep track of our calendars. It's a lot.
Well, tell me about it. Between work, family, trying to have a life, I feel like I'm drowning in to-dos and notifications.
Yeah.
So is Alexa Plus like aiming to be this central command center for our whole digital life?
That seems to be the goal, yeah. It wants to simplify everything by becoming that hub, and because it's learning about you. It gets more efficient and intuitive the more you use it.
So instead of a million tabs and apps, I can just like talk to Alexa Plus and it handles everything.
That's the idea. Like, imagine starting your day with Alexa plus, oh, what's on my agenda today?
Right.
And it tells you your appointments, tasks, reminders, even the traffic on your commute.
It's like having a personal assistant who can read your mind. No, but
Yeah.
seriously, that kind of personalization would be amazing for productivity. I'm always forgetting things and running late. This could be a lifesaver.
Absolutely. And it's not just work stuff either. Think about your free time. It could recommend a podcast you'd like or a restaurant based on your preferences.
You're making me want to fast forward to the future.
Yeah.
But hold on, before we get too carried away with robot butlers and all that, let's talk about the downsides.
Yeah.
AI knows a lot about us, our schedules, what we like. Doesn't that get a little creepy?
Yeah, it's definitely something to be aware of. I mean, the more AI becomes part of our lives, the more we have to think about these things. If we let AI make all our decisions, what happens to our own critical thinking?
Exactly. Do we just become so used to Alexa Plus knowing best that we stop questioning things?
Right, it's a slippery slope, and we need to be mindful of that as we embrace these technologies. It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between convenience and our own autonomy.
Okay, so how do we do that? Is it all doom and gloom, or can we have the best of both worlds? How do I make sure I'm not just becoming like a robot myself, letting the AI run my life?
I think there's definitely a middle ground. It's about being informed, setting boundaries, and using your own brain. You need to understand how this AI works, what data it's using, and how it's using it.
So it's about me being in control of the technology, not the other way around.
Exactly. Remember, AI is a tool. It can be a powerful tool for good, but like any tool, it can be misused. It's up to us to use it responsibly.
That makes sense. So be smart about using Alexa plus Yane. Don't just blindly trust it with everything. But all that aside, there's no denying that this technology has the potential to change things in a big way.
Definitely. What we're seeing with Alexa Plus is just the beginning. As AI keeps evolving, who knows what's next? We could be entering a whole new era of human-machine collaboration.
It's both exciting and a little scary all at the same time, but hey, that's progress, right?
It certainly is. And it's
Right.
going to be fascinating to watch it all unfold.
Well, we've definitely covered a lot of ground today, from the specifics of Alexa Plus to the bigger picture of AI and its impact. But before we wrap things up, there's one more angle I want to explore. We've talked about the individual impact, but what about the societal impact? How might Alexa Plus and these other AI assistants change our communities, our economies, even our politics?
Whoa, that's a big question. And one that deserves its own deep dive. We'll have to save that for another episode. But for now, I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about.
We certainly have. This has been a fascinating discussion.
It really has. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a mix of excitement and, healthy skepticism about the future of AI.
Yeah.
It's clear this technology has the power to change the world, but it's up to us to make sure that change is for the better.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. We encourage you to keep exploring the world of AI, keep asking those tough questions, and keep having those thoughtful discussions about the future we want to create. Until next time, keep diving deep.
It really feels like we're at this turning point, you know? Like AI is becoming so much more than just a gadget. And as these AI assistants get smarter, it's not just about our own lives anymore, it's about society as a whole.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about now. Like, we talked about all the cool things Alexa Plus can do for me. But what about the bigger picture? How could this technology change the world, for everyone?
Well, one of the Business Insider articles brought up a really interesting point. They were talking about how Alexa Plus is going to be a paid subscription service. And right away, that makes you think about like who gets access to this and who doesn't.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. If it costs money to have this super smart AI assistant, it could create this like digital divide where only the people who can afford it get all the benefits.
Exactly. And that could have a huge impact on all kinds of things like education, jobs, even healthcare. Imagine a world where if you can pay for Alexa plus O, you're just way more productive. You have access to more information. It's almost like having a superpower that you have to pay for every month.
And what about the people who can't afford that? Do they just get left behind in the AI revolution?
That's a real worry. And it's something that, like, the government and these tech companies need to figure out. We have to make sure that everyone benefits from AI, not just a select few. Maybe there could be different price levels, or the government could help people afford it, or even create free alternatives.
It's like we're building this amazing new world with AI, but not everyone gets an invitation. And it's not just about the money either. One thing that's always bugged me about AI is like the unintended consequences. Could Alexa Plus accidentally make existing societal biases worse?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. We have to be careful about that. We know that AI systems, they learn from the data we feed them, right? So if that data already has biases built in, those biases could get amplified by Alexa Plus.
So it's not enough to just make AI smarter. We also have to make sure it's fair. But how do we do that? It seems so complicated.
It is complicated, but there are things we can do. Like, first of all, we need more diverse teams of people building these systems, people who are aware of these biases. And then we need really good ways to test and evaluate these AI systems to make sure they're behaving fairly.
Right, so we're not just creating AI that reflects the biases of the people who made it or the data it learned from. Okay, but let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about some of the potential downsides. But what about the good stuff? Could Alexa Plus actually make the world a better place?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so much potential for AI to improve our lives. Imagine Alexa plus helping to personalize education so everyone learns in a way that works for them. Or in healthcare, it could help people manage chronic conditions, remind them to take their meds, even provide emotional support.
It's like having a 24/7 tutor or a virtual nurse right there with you. And what about accessibility for people with disabilities?
That's another huge area where AI could be transformative. Voice control could be a game changer for people with mobility issues, visual impairments, or communication difficulties.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom. There's some really exciting possibilities here.
Definitely. But the important thing is that we approach these developments with a critical eye. We need to make sure AI is used to empower people, not to control them.
Well said. It sounds like the key takeaway here is that we need to be thoughtful about how we use this technology. We can't just blindly accept whatever new AI comes along. We have to think about its impact on us and on society.
Exactly. The future of AI is being written right now, and we all have a say in how that story goes.
Okay, so we've talked about how AI could create a digital divide, how it could make biases worse, and even how it could make us less likely to think for ourselves. But we've also talked about how it could empower us, how it could make our lives better and create a more fair world. It's a lot to think about. So where do we go from here? How do we navigate this whole AI thing and make sure it's used for good?
That's the big question, right? And I think it starts with awareness. The more we understand about AI, how it works, what it can do, the better decisions we can make about it.
So it's about educating ourselves and having conversations like this one.
Exactly. We need to ask tough questions, demand transparency from these companies, and really talk about what kind of future we want to create with AI.
I totally agree. But even with all the awareness and discussion, it's hard to know exactly how AI will evolve. It feels like we're at this crossroads, and the path we choose now will have a huge impact on the future.
That's a really good way to put it. And it shows how important it is to be responsible and humble about AI. We have to be aware of the risks, but also open to the amazing things it could do.
Well said. This whole conversation has given me a lot to think about. What I'm realizing is that the future of AI isn't something that's just going to happen to us. It's something we're creating. through the choices we make and the things we do.
I couldn't agree more. It's an exciting and challenging time to be alive, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me too. But before we get lost in the future, let's come back to the present for a minute. We've been talking big picture stuff, but I'm curious about your take on some of the specific Alexa Plus features. What are you most excited about?
Personally, I'm really fascinated by that personalized memory function. I think it could totally change how we deal with information and how we interact with the world. Imagine being able to remember any detail, any conversation, any document you've ever seen instantly. It's like having a perfect memory.
That would be incredible. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm also really intrigued by that "for you" widget. I mean, we're all drowning in information these days, so having an AI that filters all that and gives you just what you need, that sounds like a dream.
I know, right? It could change everything about how we read news, buy stuff, even discover new music. Instead of all this noise, you have this personalized stream of information tailored just for you.
It's like having a personal concierge for your digital life.
Yeah.
But with all the good stuff, I also wonder about the downsides. What if we become too dependent on this curated information? Do we end up in these little bubbles, never seeing other viewpoints?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's important to be aware of that. We have to make sure we're still getting exposed to different ideas and perspectives. Maybe Alexa Plus could have features that actually encourage you to see different viewpoints or challenge your own
Oh,
beliefs.
that's a cool idea. It would be awesome if Alexa Plus could help us be more open-minded and well-rounded.
I think that's a great goal. In the end, the best AI assistants will be the ones that help us connect with the world in meaningful ways, not the ones that isolate us.
Well said. It seems like the key is to use AI as a tool to make our lives better, not to replace our own thinking.
Exactly. AI should help us be more capable, not less.
Hmm. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the nuts and bolts of Alexa Plus to the bigger questions about AI and its role in the world. We've talked about the good and the bad, the hopes and the fears, and how we can make sure AI is used for good. But as we wrap up this part of the episode, is there one key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with? What's the most important thing to remember as we move forward into this uncharted territory of AI?
That's a tough one. But if I had to pick one thing, it would be this. The future of AI is not set in stone. It's something we're all creating right now with the choices we make, the things we do, the conversations we have. The more we know and the more we talk about it, the better chance we have of making sure AI is a force for good in the world.
I love that. It's a reminder that we all have a part to play in this. It's not just up to the big tech companies or the government, it's up to all of us. We have to demand that AI is developed ethically, used responsibly, and that everyone has access to it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today. From the specific features of Alexa Plus to the broader implications of AI in our lives, we've really taken a deep dive into this fascinating and rapidly evolving field. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
We've talked a lot about how AI might change society. But what about the other way around? How will our values, our beliefs, our actions shape the development of AI? It's something to think about as we move into this uncharted territory.
Wow, that's a really interesting question. We'll have to explore that further in another deep dive.
Absolutely. But for now, it's time to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Alexa Plus and the future of AI. Until next time, keep diving deep.
It's really kind of wild when you think about it, how fast AI is changing. Like just a few years ago, we were impressed with basic voice commands, and now we're talking about AI assistants that can learn our routines, know what we need before we do, even help us manage our whole digital lives. It's pretty amazing.
I know, right? It's like we're living in the future. But with all this future talk, I kind of want to bring it back down to earth for a minute. We've been talking about all the possibilities. But what about actually using Alexa Plus every day? What's that going to be like?
Yeah, good point. Let's get practical. One thing that really jumped out at me from these articles is how much Amazon's focusing on making everything work together smoothly. They're not just talking about connecting it to your devices, but integrating it with all the services and apps you already use.
Oh, interesting. So it's not about replacing everything we do now. It's more like building on top of it.
Exactly. Think about how messy our digital lives are. Now, we have a different app for everything. Communication, shopping, entertainment, work, it's all over the place. Alexa Plus wants to be the thing that brings it all together.
So instead of jumping between a million different apps, I could just use Alexa Plus to manage everything.
That's the idea. Like, picture this. You say, Alexa plus I, order my usual groceries, set up a meeting for next Tuesday, and remind me to call my mom later. And it just does it, all while working with your existing accounts and knowing what you like.
Wow, that would free up so much brain space. No more juggling a million to-dos in my head. But what about, like, making it my own? Everyone uses technology differently. Can Alexa Plus really adapt to how I like to do things?
It sounds like that's a big priority for Amazon. They're talking about a super customizable interface. You can personalize pretty much everything from the voice it uses to what kind of notifications you get, even how much help you want.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all thing. I can really make it work for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're a visual person, you can have Alexa Plus show you stuff on a screen instead of just telling you. Or if you're really worried about privacy, you can control how much data it collects and what it does with it.
Okay, that makes me feel better. It sounds like Amazon's really trying to give people control over their AI experience. But, all this talk about personalization and customization, it makes me wonder about the bigger picture. Like, if everyone's got their own super personalized AI, could that make us more isolated from each other?
That's a really interesting question, and it's something we have to think about as AI gets more powerful. I mean, on the one hand, personalized AI could help us connect with the information and resources that we need, but yeah, on the other hand, it could create these echo chambers where we only see things that confirm what we already believe.
So how do we get the benefits of personalization without, like, losing touch with other perspectives?
I think it comes down to designing AI that encourages open-mindedness. Like, maybe Alexa Plus could have features that nudge you to consider different viewpoints or question your own assumptions. Maybe even help you have productive conversations with people who disagree with you.
That would be awesome. If Alexa Plus could actually help us be more well-rounded and understanding, that would be amazing.
Right. In the end, the AI that succeeds will be the AI that helps us connect with the world in a meaningful way, not the AI that closes us off from it.
Well said. It's clear that AI has the power to change our lives in a big way, but it's up to us to make sure it's for the better. We have to be informed, we have to ask tough questions, and we have to be part of the conversation about where this technology is going.
Absolutely. The future of AI isn't set in stone, it's something we're all creating together.
Well, folks, that's about all the time we have for today. But like we always say, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep learning about AI, keep those questions coming, and let's build the kind of future we want to see together. Until next time, keep diving deep.